Right on in. So I want to thank you guys for joining us on this week's edition of Cliff Notes on thecliftonsmith.com. I'm, of course, Clifton Smith here in New York City, and I'm talking with, who's that over there?
Dan Omar here in Stockholm. I was expecting a little bit more of an introduction.
Dano doesn't need an introduction. He's amazing. He's great. He's physically fit, and he can go model for GQ. And that's exactly the topic for today: modeling for GQ.
Modeling for GQ.
No, it's about physical
Oh,
fitness.
it's not. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Physical fitness. Tell me.
Sorry, that's the other person I'm talking to after this is the GQ modeling. But,
yeah.
Yes, personal health.
Who is the paragon of fitness? Who are we talking about today, or what?
We're talking about ourselves. It's all about ourselves and how we interact with our bodies. You know, I'd love to do the Jerry Rice one-hand grab, or for people who don't recognize that reference, you know, the Odell Beckham Jr. One-hand grab. I'd love to, have a six-pack, run like Tyson Gay. But ultimately, I have my genes, and there's certain limitations and certain things that I can expect out of them. So that's sort of my own personal philosophy. But one person that I really admire and really helped me was actually you, Dano. Believe that?
Was it me? Yes. Okay. I believe it. And I appreciate the compliment. So what is it that I did specifically that got you going? What did I do?
Well, first of all, you introduced me to healthy eating, and that's actually the first part of fitness. About 80–90% of being fit is the recovery and how you treat your body outside of the gym, and that's the first thing I want to talk about. So certain things that I've done include hydration. A majority of Americans are perpetually dehydrated, and you consistently see studies that demonstrate problems within your metabolism, within your body, when you are dehydrated. So step one, very simple. I think we can all do it. Drink some water.
And get a lot of sleep. I think that this is another one that we overlook a lot in our constantly, I need to be working all the time. It's very easy to think that, okay, well, if I'm getting 6 hours of sleep or 4 or 5 hours of sleep, then I'm really doing better. But in fact, there's actually very important neurochemicals that help your brain and your body recover starting at like 10 at night, 11 at night. And so if you sleep, then you're able to actually start to rebuild your body earlier. And there's not a lot of around that I know of, but it is important to sleep. So
yeah, how many hours do you sleep? What's your average? What
target is 7.5 for me. I have always found sleep cycles to be very interesting. So if, of course, I'm not able to get the full night's sleep, I'll try to time things in 1.5 hour intervals. Regularly, I go to bed around 11 o'clock, and then get up at 7.
You're old.
Yeah,
You're out partying out there in Sweden.
I'm not 22 anymore. Although I do have a friend who stays up until 2. He has insomnia, so he doesn't apply.
That's a good example, Dano. Very good example.
Great example. Well, I wanted to paint the picture of somebody who's young and thinks they can burn the candle, forever, and ultimately you can't, because it leads to other health or psychological complications down the line.
Yeah, we actually did that.
I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to play one online. So.
Well, we tried. I
did. Yes.
Remember this time in back in the day, the good old days, where we're like, all right, we will wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, and we'll just get things going. And it was great when we got to bed at like 7, 8, 9 o'clock. But as young 20-year-olds in the working world, in the social world, 9 o'clock became 10 o'clock, became 12 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you and I had found this kind of sleep hacking thing, where it's like, okay, these specific rhythms that Einstein and Dali used, they would time their sleep cycles perfectly, and then they would take short naps throughout the day. And we had done these 4-hour sleep cycles. And then we had the brilliant idea to go to Las Vegas and drive after sleeping for a consecutive week, only 4 hours a night, and then just having little tiny naps throughout the day. It was insane. I'm surprised that we made it alive.
Yeah,
But
there's different hacks people have tried where every 12 hours you get 4 hours of sleep, or every 6 hours you get like 2 hours of sleep, or something of that nature. And we tried it. We were very productive in the
we did.
morning, and then at the end of the week, what do you do when you want to celebrate not sleeping? You go to Vegas. And I specifically remember we were hanging out with two different crowds. The crowd that was sort of the early crowd who loved the shows and then went to dinner and then went to bed, and then those who right after the show, we joined another group that went out to the clubs and hit everything until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And then people went to bed, decided that they wanted to get an early brunch, and needless to say, that was disastrous. But that was fun. That was a fun experiment, and that's sort of the next part I want to get to in your health and fitness. And that is to within a certain degree. And of course, I'm not a doctor, but this is definitely a space where you can experiment with what works and what doesn't work, and you tend to get almost immediate feedback on whether it worked or not. You go drink a soda and then go try to do 50 burpees, and your body goes, no, that's not going to work. But you treat your body right, and then you go work out, and you're like, oh, I should do more of that. And so that's actually beyond just health and fitness, really broadened my own frame of mind to have more of an experimental mindset, because of the experiences I had in health and fitness. You can read books, you can read magazines, you can take advice from people and trainers who've done it before, but going back to the original factor is you yourself are the one that this has to work on. And to a certain degree, going out and trying it is the only way to see if it will work. Have you had that experience, Dano, or have you had much more of a regimented health and fitness routine?
I am so far from regimented. It's probably it would make your regular CrossFit bodybuilder cringe. I have also found that there's a degree of experimentation that is really good. It is also important for creativity, right? But I usually go down to a few core moves that are really important for circulation in my body, flexibility, and also maximum strength. I may be fit, but I don't necessarily look huge. But understanding that the core of my power comes from my core and from my glutes drives me to do effectively every time I work out 2 exercises, one of which is kettlebell swings and the other is goblin squats, because they have.
Those sound cool. What are they? What are they?
What are they? Okay. This is actually something I'm going to give credit to 2 people. One is Tim Ferriss, who's the author of The 4-Hour Body, which I believe you have read. And he did an interview with Pavel Tsatsouline, who is a Russian gymnast, trainer, bodybuilder guy. And I guess he trains Marines and that kind of stuff now these days. Really impressive resume. But he recommends these 2 exercises because of the amount of impact they have on strength and overall fitness. Kettlebell swing is where you have a kettlebell which looks like a ball with a handle on it. It's made out of cast iron. And what you do is you bend your knees a little bit, and you kind of swing the kettlebell up into a perpendicular motion up about to eye level. And then you let it come down, and you keep a straight back and straight legs, and then you pull it up again. As this is going to activate your entire gluteal region as well as your hamstrings as you repeat this motion. And
awesome. And we'll put a video, like a training video, because
we'll put a link.
Is very important. That's something that I've learned studying Body by Science by Doug McGruff, which actually goes into it and breaks down what is going on with your muscles and your entire body as you lift. And to me, that was the most beneficial book that I read on health and fitness, was what's actually going on in your body. And it gets fairly biochemistry heavy. But for me, that really breaks it down to what is going on, and it removes a lot of this mystique that I think a lot of information and nutrition publications out there sort of obfuscate. And one great takeaway from that was the idea that an injury, I always thought injury, oh, you don't stretch enough, so it just snaps. But injuries actually occur when the muscular or mechanical forces exceed the proper force exposure, which basically means you put too much force on your muscle and you try to move it and it snaps, it gives way. And then the second one that was very interesting was that I saw muscles and fat as sort of one system. You go work out and you burn fat and you build muscle, and your body gets triggered one way or the other. When in reality, the current research that's out there is demonstrating that the muscle cells compete with the fat cells for the food you eat. And the more body fat you have, the more those muscles or those cells, those fat cells, are dominating the muscle cells for energy. And so a lot of people who are tired, even though they may be overweight, it's not because they haven't eaten enough. It is more because the nutrients, the calories, go towards the fat storage as opposed to the muscle storage. And that's what you're being triggered. And so those two things really helped me, especially at a time, I think, in my fitness where I had torn both my hamstrings and I had experimented with weight loss and muscle gain just as an experimentation to see, how far can I go, et cetera, et cetera. And now I've taken a much more moderate approach, which is overall strength and flexibility, which comes from the unfortunate side effect of being a weekend warrior as you transition into professional life, of thinking that as 23, 24, 25 comes around, you can still go straight from your couch to the football field and not injure your body. And so those are two very, very valuable pieces of information that I took away from Body by Science, which is a doctor who has he has a gym, a studio, he's done studies. And so the point that I want to bring this all together is that we've sort of picked and cherry picked, where we get our information and what we believe is the most valuable and efficient use of our time for health and fitness. We've got someone from Russia, someone from Silicon Valley, someone from the Midwest, all working together. And that's really helped me in the idea that great ideas can come from anywhere, and go out and explore those ideas. And so
I think it's really important. I'm sorry for interrupting. I think it's really important, though, that we talked a bit about exploring to get good input first. You can't just go to the gym and start doing stuff because you might hurt yourself. So it is important to get a little bit educated before you just kind of just throw things around.
Oh, absolutely.
That might be redundant information, but something to
that's very true. It's very true. I mean, because there's sort of this stigma of like, I've never been to the gym. I mean, I remember when I went to the gym the first time, there's all these machines and everyone's got their headphones in, like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And I didn't. And so taking the time, working with a personal trainer, someone who's done it before, proper form and function. And that's one of the root causes for a lot of injuries in the gym is improper form, especially as you get into these very, difficult to do maneuvers like kettlebells, squats, whatnot. Is that especially as the reps get higher and the weights get higher, as you think you're doing it better and better, you've actually been doing it all along with improper form, and that leads to injury, which has occurred to many of my friends. It's occurred to me. I'm sure it's probably occurred to you as well.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
So wrapping up, Dana, what is your current routine or your view or philosophy on health and fitness as you've transitioned to full-time working there in Sweden? How have you integrated it in your life?
Well, there is something that we didn't include, which I think is very important, which is develop a community or a routine, ideally together. Because at least for me, I know that by going to a place where I'm expected to go, that improves the ability or the consistency that I will go. Because I'm not exactly so goal-driven in this, so goal-driven in this fitness area where some other people might be. So yes, my routines right now, since I am also recovering from an injury, I'm not doing jiu-jitsu, which is my usual community, but I am going to strength and weight training with my girlfriend. We sign up for classes at our gym, and we just go together and use the community and the structure there to provide what we do, and then I will just provide the effort. So it's really helpful to kind of offload some of the mental strain in preparing for what we're going to do and doing a routine with either performance high intensity or stretching or yoga, gymnastics, weightlifting, whatever the class is going to throw at us. So
yeah, there are definitely lots of hacks and tips and tricks that you can put to help you go. But taking it back a step, the first question is, what's your goal? Why do you want to go? Is it to just fit into, that dress or to your jeans? Is it to go run a race? Is it to be healthy and active with your kids? Is it to do a martial art? Why is it that you are fit? And that's the first thing. The second thing is a community, like you mentioned, is have those people in your life that will hold you accountable and will also draw you in. And then the third thing for me is remove all the friction. So it might be hard, it might be difficult to go out and work out for the first time. You don't know what to do, but be okay with that. Going from 0 to 1 is very difficult, but maybe the first time you go, you don't even work out. You just go and see which machines it is that you're going to go to. So that way consistency and getting your routine helps. Other things that help for me too is follow people on Instagram who are fitness people. So when I am I don't go on Instagram at all to procrastinate, but when I do, I see that and I see them working out and it inspires me, it motivates me. I have a gym bag ready to go at any point in time that I get the desire to work out. And then I have specific times in my schedule in which I go work out. And for me, it's not the first thing I do because getting out of bed, you need something, or I believe thoroughly that you need something to get you out of bed that you really want to. And for me, sometimes that has been fitness, but for me currently right now at business school, it's not. So I would rather sleep in than go work out. So what I do is I schedule it during a lunch break in which I'm awake. I'm already there. I have my bag. I'm good to go. I just have to show up. I've already walked through the gym. I've already done the moves. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I turn my brain off, autopilot. Same thing with a community where you go to sort of a fitness center, you have a personal trainer, or you take a class. All you have to do is show up, and then the rest will take care of itself. And then on top of that is the importance of rest and recovery, like we talked about. Get plenty of sleep, be hydrated, and restore your glycogen in your muscles that you use up when you work out, and spend more time on the resting, the recuperating, as opposed to the breaking down, which is the gym. So there's the mentality that no pain, no gain. However, as we get older and in general, there should be more focus on the recovery part and the reduction of cortisol in your body and the repairing of the muscle tissues you break down, as opposed to the breaking down of them. So going to a gym 4, 5, 6 times a week may not necessarily fit in your lifestyle in terms of time, and it may not fit in terms of enough time for your body to repair itself. Now, obviously, if we were all spry 18-year-olds who got plenty of sleep, like we once were, that might be different. But especially as we get older, we're sitting a lot, we're a lot more sedentary, we have other stresses, and our step may not be as quick as it once was. Taking care of our bodies is what's going to prevent these injuries, which sets you back a lot. So I consistently think that I'm going to be in better shape than I ever was. And I hope that that's a motto you guys have as well, is just because you're not 18 or 21 doesn't mean you can't be in the best shape of your life. And it takes small steps to do that. So with that, I want to leave you to another great week and episode of Cliff Notes. I'm Clifton Smith here with Dan Omar, and we hope you join us next time.